Hey guys, for today's video, I wanted to share the story of how I overcame my depression. Because for so much of my life, honestly, I think I was really, really depressed. So I wanted to just tell you guys um, all the periods I was depressed and everything I did to overcome my depression. And I'm only going to mention the things that honestly had a huge effect and really helped me and got me to where I am today, because I read probably hundreds, if not thousands, of self-help books and tried all these different things, and so many of them were just like love yourself mantras, law of attraction stuff, which I personally don't really find effective. So I'm going to tell you what worked for me in hopes that can help someone else. So let's get started. Okay, so the first time I have it written on this phone here, like some things I want to talk about. So the first time I was really depressed was in high school. I was like a total loner. I had extreme social anxiety. I didn't have really any friends. I hated school. I was really just negative, like hating school, because I was very like free thinking person, and I just didn't take well to being like forced to go to school. So anyway, I was extremely depressed, and nothing really helped. But I went to college, and I went to this really cool college, and that made me feel excited about life again. However, my first like serious bout of real depression, where it was like worse than it had ever been, came in college when I had this weird unrequited love relationship with this guy. We broke up, and I was horribly, horribly depressed. Like, honestly, I've never been so confused and hopeless about life. Although there were periods after that came close. So, the thing that helped me then was reading this book called Feeling Good by David Burns. It's the #1 self-help book recommended by therapists, allegedly. However, most people have never heard of it. And I think it's kind of like out of date now. Um, but, I mean, the content isn't out of date, but, like, it was written in, I guess, the 80s or so. Yeah, some of the language is a bit like old fashioned, but as soon as I read that book, I was basically cured from my hopelessness and despair. Not to say that, these other problems in my life got instantly better, but the depression aspect went away. So I subsequently became obsessed with him, read all of his books, which are all amazing. They're all kind of like hilarious. I turned my best friend onto them. She's obsessed too. And here are two of them. I don't have Feeling Good, which is a big, thick, yellow book, but it's probably the most helpful book I've ever read in my entire life. I really suggest you get it. And here are two others. This one is about loneliness and how to connect with the opposite sex. It's really, really good. And this one is about anxiety, and I had like major social anxiety, so this is like a really amazing book too. But I recommend, if you are depressed, that you start with Feeling Good by David Burns, and then go on to these two great books, and then go on to all of them. So anyway, the next, that really helped, but I still basically had like nothing in my life that was positive, even though I was no longer depressed. But that just set me on this journey to learn new, better life skills. So I got into another relationship, and when that relationship broke up, I was extremely depressed again. And I just felt like I had nothing in my life. Like, my life was pointless, my life was meaningless, and I felt like I had like a love addiction. And so I found this book called Living Alone and Loving It, which is by like a former famous TV show star on this like 60s TV show. But it's actually an incredible book. And in the book, the main piece of advice that really helped me was, she said, in order to be happy alone without a man, you need two things: hobbies and friends, or interests and friends. And she said, in order to find your interests, like you might not have any interests yet, you need to write a list of everything that's ever made you feel complete and whole and like, just incredibly like happy in the moment. Anything and everything you can possibly think of, even if you've like only done it once, make a list. Then make a little note card and put it in your mirror that says just do it. And then go down the list one by one, trying every single interest you have an inkling that you may be interested in on the list. So I tried singing lessons, I tried DJing. My main inkling was that I really love dance, because I would sometimes go to like a club and just feel like incredible dancing all night, and I was like, maybe I'm interested in dance. So I took like an intro to hip hop class, I took a salsa class, I took a belly dance class, and finally that led me to pole dance. The moment I found pole dance, I fell in love. And pole dance is the next thing that actually really helped me with my depression, because even though it sounds crazy, like talk to anyone who does pole dance and they can tell you the same thing. Pole dance has like this really incredible transformational effect, and it teaches you to see yourself as beautiful. And that was one thing I really had a problem with. I didn't think I was beautiful and deserving of love, and I thought that people saw me as like gross and awkward and weird, and pole dance transformed that for me. So I guess if the first thing that helped me was the books of David Burns, Feeling Good, and the second thing that helped me was finding my interests, which really, really helped, Living Alone and Loving It, the book. I'll put them all in the description box below. The third thing that helped me was just pole dancing itself. Pole dancing itself, like, will change your life. So anyway, I found pole dancing, I found my interest. That helped a lot, because soon I had something that I just loved doing in my life. Okay, so at the same time, I also found this basically self-help program in New York City called Mama Gina's School of Womanly Arts. And here are two of her books, which also really helped a lot. And they're basically about fun, pleasure, and empowerment, I guess. But basically they're about finding things that are fun to you and doing them, no matter how crazy they seem. Like the importance of going for what you want and the importance of fun and pleasure in your life. And that gave me one of the happiest years of my life. I found a new boyfriend, and there are two books. One is about men and how to, it's called The Owner's and Operator's Guide to Men. And it basically, the point of that book is just telling men what you want, what will make you happy, so that they can give it to you, and then you can sort of like happy wife, happy life. Like when you're happy, he's so happy that he's been able to make you happy. But the only way to do that is by telling him what you really want. So I did that, and we had like the most fun ever. It was just like a year of extreme fun. So those books were really amazing. I guess the fifth or sixth thing that really helped me was finding this high-carb vegan lifestyle, because I lost a lot of weight, my skin got better, I just felt like younger and more beautiful. And even though I was really into this whole idea of loving myself, which Mama Gina's really promotes, those books I was just talking about, like it does help when you just start feeling like you look in the mirror and you just see yourself getting younger. So that's another amazing tip for people who are maybe depressed because they don't like the way they look. Yes, you can just learn to love the way you look, but you can also just get younger in a way through a vegan lifestyle. Okay, and then finally, even though I had done all that stuff, I honestly was still depressed. In fact, sometimes I just felt like so depressed that I did have like suicidal thoughts. Not that I actually wanted to do it, but those thoughts did come into my head where I was just like, what is the point of life? Which is really sad. But I know now why I had those thoughts, and that is because I was not following my truest desire and dreams. As I mentioned in a previous video, I fell in love with pole dancing and I had this desire, which was to be a stripper, but I thought it was impossible because I still had like a really negative body image, even though it had improved so much. And the way I finally managed to overcome that struggle with my own self, like not living my dream, was this YouTube channel of this guy named Jia Jiang, who is an entrepreneur, and he wanted to start his own business, but his business failed, and he had like a young child, and he just felt like a failure. So he went on a journey of 100 days of crazy asks, where he would ask people something crazy, and he would try to get rejected. And he found that a lot of times he didn't get rejected, but basically his courage muscle, as he said, like grew so much. And by the end, he could like ask anyone anything, and he had overcome his fear of rejection. So I read his book, Rejection Proof, and watched all his videos, and then he had a course called Rejection Gym, and where he would assign you different like asks to do. Within 2 weeks of doing these crazy rejection asks, I had overcome enough of my fear and strengthened my courage muscle enough that I was able to go into a club and ask to audition, which I was so scared to do. Once I did that and I got the job, I felt my depression finally completely disappeared, and I feel so happy now, like so much happier. At the same time, all the things I did, like about self-esteem and overcoming and just having a happier life, like through all the books I recommended, I mean, I think they all built on each other, and they were all extremely helpful in their own way. But now I can honestly say I don't feel depressed whatsoever. I feel extremely happy with my life, and I feel I'm just going to continue getting happier. So sorry if this was kind of like long-winded, but those are my top tips for overcoming your depression, which I did. I was sent to many therapists. They all wanted to put me on antidepressants. They gave me all the depression questionnaires. I was clinically depressed. I refused to take antidepressants because I've always been interested in like natural healing, I guess, and just not taking any drugs. But yeah, so I was clinically depressed, and I healed myself, and I really feel it was through reading those books, gaining knowledge, skills, and finally living my dream. And just one final thought: if you have a dream and you might be scared to even admit it to yourself, the way you are going to find happiness is, and completely cure your depression, is by listening to your dream. If you don't have a dream yet, find your interests, and from your interests, your dream will blossom, I feel. But listen to your intuition, read the books of David Burns and Mama Gina's, and overcome your fear of rejection, and you too can cure your depression, in my opinion. Tell me if you disagree, and thanks for watching.